To start with, I want to tell a small anecdote. So, Sandeep, when I didn't see Animal at that time, before the release, and Rajmouli called me and said, recently at a function, I said, Sandeep is a new age Ram Gopal Varma. And I said that. But now I just now saw the film. And now I think he's Ram Gopal Varma ka baap. So the point is, I don't know. From after I saw the film, what I felt was, I think Shiva was still a kind of a little realistic film, but it pretty much followed a conventional format of a hero, villain, whatever, maybe done a little differently in terms of the taking and etc. But I think your films, especially Animal, you just completely broke the convention and completely threw all the so-called rules into the dustbin. So because of that, I truly believe what Rajmouli said is right. You are my baap.
So, good morning, everybody. Actually, I went to Kochi sir kosam, and when they said that there is a session, I thought like it would be nice sitting and talking to him. This is actually a dream. When I think back to Sarkar and company and Satya days, this is literally a dream. Sitting with him, and sometimes I meet him at his place. I think so. Anything you say, I take it like an award, like a pride. Whatever you say, sir.
Yes, first of all, I don't think the word award and you go together in the context, because your self-confidence and what you think. I still remember when you told about that critic in Bombay, that fat guy, I can't get over it. I think his entire 20-year career or 30 years is described in one line. Anyway, coming to, because the point of this whole event is to talk about cinema in terms of, some film institute students came to meet me sometime back, They're writers, they're doing a course in writing. And I asked them, so they were talking about the art of screenplay and how you write and how the progression should be made. And what is has to be followed like a rule and this and that, So William Byler, a very famous writer, has written Ben-Hur and all that. His thoughts are taken almost like a rule in cinema. Even today, keep young filmmakers quoting him, his understanding of screenplay. He said, whatever you show in the first part of the film, there has to be a counter in the second part. That is which brings in totality. And second thing he said, no matter how good a scene it is, if it is not progressing the story, you should throw it out. And what you did is threw both these into the dustbin. So I said, now apply your logic to Sandeep Vanga's screenplay. I said, whatever you learned in the last 2 years in your course, Having said that, and I just would like to explain. Maybe at some point of time, to a degree, there was a certain classical style or a tradition. I think now cinema is about expressing, individual's expression. Like Sandeep Vanga will express it in a certain way, which is projecting, and then it catches whatever people. Some critics might hate it, some critics might, the audience might love it. Then it's a question of the numbers of whatever. So my question is, when you thought in your head, I'm sure you would have told the story to maybe some people, some close people. Did it ever occur to you that this can go really wrong? Especially Animal, again, because that's the latest picture.
Sir, I narrated this to Ranbir and my brother. They loved it, sir. They said it's me and it might go wrong. And there are few questions where they felt inta prema edi father nina. That might go wrong. If that goes wrong, everything goes wrong. Not only the second half of screenplay default on pakka padte. If the whole point of the film is the love story between father and son. If that goes wrong, I said that everything will go wrong. ఇంకా సెకండ్ హాఫ్లో స్లో ఉండడం డిపోవడం లాజిక్ మీరు చెప్తుంటే అది అనిపిస్తుంది సార్ నాకు అనిపించలేదు.
ఇప్పుడు మనందరం కూడా ఒక హ్యాబిట్ ఏముంటుందంటే మనం ఒకటి విన్నప్పుడు దాని తర్వాత కొంత టైం అయిన తర్వాత వీ స్టార్ట్ యాడింగ్ ఇన్ టు అవర్ హెడ్. మేబీ దట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ వాట్ హ్యాపెండ్ బట్ వీ అవర్ ఇమాజినేషన్ స్టార్ట్స్ ప్లేయింగ్ గేమ్స్ and we probably say something. So నాకు సందీప్కి జరిగిన ఒక కాన్వర్సేషన్ ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పినప్పుడు ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్ ఇట్ డిడ్ నాట్ హ్యాపెన్ బట్ ఐ ఫీల్ దిస్ ఈస్ హౌ ఐ అండర్స్టూడ్ ఇన్ ద పాయింట్. అంటే నేను తర్వాత చాలా మందికి చెప్పినప్పుడు సందీప్ యానిమల్ గురించి ఏమన్నాడో నేను కూడా కొన్ని దాంట్లో యాడ్ చేసి ఉండొచ్చు విచ్ క్యాన్ బి రాంగ్ ఆల్సో. సో యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఫర్గివ్ మీ అబౌట్ మై వర్షన్ ఆఫ్ వాట్ వీ. No, yeah. So I asked Sandeep, Animal Law, Bobby Deol is the main villain. The first half, already the story is over because whoever attacked the father, he took revenge on them. And the second half starts off on something else, for a long time before Bobby Deol comes. So I asked Sandeep, why can't you introduce Bobby Deol in the first half itself somewhere so that I will know that his character still has to be finished, so I will feel a continuation. So Sandeep said, Bobby Deol introduces the second half starting tarvata 1 hour vere tracks and etha unnayo adi that might not work andukani nenu because they'll be waiting for Bobby Deol andukani nenu చూపించలేదు అని. మరి అప్పుడు ఆ గంట ఎందుకు అసలు ఉంటాం ఎందుకు అన్న అంటే నేను సీన్స్ నమ్ముతానండి. సీన్స్కి అడ్డంగా కథ వస్తే కథను తీసేస్తాను కానీ సీన్స్ తీయను. Then get one specific answer from you because see, I'll give you one more example. After Bahubali came, from that point onwards, all the so-called epic VFX films and everything, and everybody thought without production values and huge grand scale of special effects, people are not going to come to the theatre. And you started, of course, Animal much after Bahubali, much after, and you had a huge budget with you, and you had, of course, the biggest stars and all that. In spite of that, you only banked on your emotion and the performances. Like cameraman William Faker said, there is no greater visual than an artist performing in a tight close-up. And that is what I thought Animal was. For me, the only thing I remember is Ranbir's close-ups in terms of, they can't go out of my head. Whereas the most incredible VFX shot, spectacular probably in it, that remain in my head. And what remains is Ranbir's close-ups. So that I think is a very conscious because you are such an intense person yourself, and you what emotion you feel is what you want to see as tight as possible. So there's no escaping. Is that what you realize when the films you grew up on in your teens or whenever you're conscious about the film craft?
So the importance of close-ups, frankly, I got it through a lot of Hollywood films, me films kuda, Money Sir films kuda, and I think that's a deliberate attempt, sir, because Naku personally, cut to a wide shot is always boring for me. So if you see Animal, there are 2 wide shots. Entire film is in mids and close. Adi deliberately chasing this, sir. And inkoti, it is so much character driven. I didn't want any loose ends in the film. So I thought like keeping it tight will always engross the audience. It will be done throughout the narration. That's a deliberate step, sir. Yes. And getting Ranbir on the frame is like delight.
And not holding back on to make the point of the kind of the violence, hacking of the thing or whatever, I find there more violence than two armies fighting. You know, because probably one is because I invested my emotion in the character and I connect to the emotion of the character. Like whereas in a white thing, when armies are fighting, it might just give a certain visual thing for some time, but like when I remember when I first narrated the story to Nagarjuna, he was shooting for this film called Agniputra. You know? And I told him that scene when Naresh is coming from the theatre, you know, in the darkness when he's hit from behind with the hockey stick. I said I'll create more violence in that scene than entire horses running and this and that bombs exploding. You know, because it is the cold-bloodedness of the hit. It is not so much about action. The fact that guys smoking the cigarette very casually. Yeah.
The impact is still same, sir.
Yeah. So the same thing when Ranbir comes in a different look, that low angle shot, first time with a different look, I can't just get over that shot. It haunts me from the time I saw anime. You know? So I think to be able to get something like that is, I feel, unless you on an individual level feel the intensity of it, you can't. But strangely, I feel when I see your interviews and all that, I never felt you look very composed. Even when you call somebody a fat guy or somebody something, you say it very matter of fact. I never saw any anger expressed anger. The Churchill Pound jumping, you know, Churchill Pound jumping. So in the what are your earliest influences in directors? You know, when you first ever saw you, like for example, I most influenced by Steven Spielberg. I first time realized how the camera can be used as a narrative, just like editing, which are actually not real things. It's not music, it's not dialogue, it's not performance. Now, camera and editing are basically crafts of you're using it to manipulate the audience's emotion. The highest start of that I found in Spielberg. Maybe it was started by Alfred Hitchcock, but I think it was perfected in Spielberg's days. So, what was in your memory, the best influence of a director, or whether you heard the word director for the first time?
First, we heard about the directors. అంటే ఇది ఈ డైరెక్టర్ ఫిల్మ్ అని చెప్పి మా కజిన్స్ కానీ నేబర్స్ కానీ ఫిలింకి వెళ్ళడం స్టార్ట్ పెట్టింది మీ పేరు మనీ సార్ పేరు.
Don't make me feel so old, man.
సీరియస్లీ, ఎందుకంటే శివ వచ్చినప్పుడు నేను శివ వరంగల్ జెమ్నీ థియేటర్లో ఉంది ప్రొడ్యూసర్. నేను ఫోర్త్ స్టాండర్డ్ సార్ శివ వచ్చి. బికాస్ when I heard about Gayan, then Donga Donga, I still remember my cousins telling me, Maniratna film, Ram Gopal Varma film, let's go on. Hero pair లేదు. So genuinely that's how it started. After that film school వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత various foreign filmmakers influence only, sir. Because నేను పుట్టి పెరిగింది వరంగల్లో కాబట్టి hardly any Hollywood films. It's either Telugu films or Hindi films. Hollywood films లేదు, sir.
Tell me a few films of Hollywood, like very from early times. What do you think of Godfather?
Definitely, sir. Godfather, Goodfellas, Shawshank Redemption, one of all the top form films. Yeah, and specifically,
you don't have any specific director, specific kind of film.
Specific, I would say Goodfellas. Yeah, Goodfellas, and there's one film called One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest. It's a fantastic film. That film had a lot of I don't know what I learned, but there's a lot of impact in films.
My belief is like in any film which has like outstanding performances is the only thing which people will remember. If you look at Godfather, Goodfellas, or even Cuckoo's Nest, it's because of the performances.
Yes. That's it. And most of your films also, sir. Most of your films. I mean, as I said in the recent thing that in editing, me films చూసి నేర్చుకున్నా సార్ actually. అంటే సత్య ఫిలిం నాకు తెలిసి సార్ కూడా గుర్తుండదు కావచ్చు. నాకు అంత గుర్తుంది మొత్తం షార్ట్ టు షార్ట్. లిటరలీ సత్య చూసేటప్పుడు పాజ్ చేసి కెమెరా ఇక్కడ ఉంటుందా అక్కడ ఉంటుందా అట్లా చూసిన రోజులు ఉన్నాయి. సత్య మ్యూట్లో చూసాను నేను ఒకసారి. సత్య ఈవెన్ కంపెనీ ఆల్సో.
I will ask you one question. I want you to answer immediately without pausing or thinking.
Satya?
No, not about Satya. Something else, you know. So I'm again saying you should answer it immediately without a pause. Can you make a film like Bahubali?
I'll try, sir, maybe something in future.
That is not a correct answer. You should either say yes or no.
I'll try, sir.
Sandeep, that is not good.
No.
Answer is no. Okay. Now he said no. But then my next question is, can you make a better film than Bahubali?
I'll try, sir.
No, I will try. It's done. Answer is come. Okay. Yeah, super.
I have one question, sir.
Yeah.
It's చాలా మందికి ఉన్న question. Sir, I know that you're in a different trip now. I'll a little know about you more. No, not like that. In a good way. Sir, ఒక్కసారి 3 నెలలు 4 నెలలు కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేసి ఒక్కసారి మళ్ళీ ఒక ఊరు రూపాయలు సంపాదించింది.
నేను ఆ పనిలోనే ఉన్నానని మీ మీద ఒట్టేసి చెప్తున్నాను. నేను ఆ పనిలోనే ఉన్నాను మీ మీద ఒట్టేసి చెప్తున్నా.
More than anything, I want all the critics to shut up. One film saying, I don't want even them to write RGV's back. I want them to write RGV's RGV. That's the way means it.
Okay. Yeah. So I personally, I would never be able to make a film like Bahubali because neither do have the patience. It needs a lot of patience to spend that kind of time and all various things, and I'm more into characters and psychology. So, but I feel if you make a film in that context, I think the kind of character treatment and in terms of the uniqueness of how you design them, I feel it will be something else. That's my opinion. See, on a sensibility, you might not be interested. You might want to other films which interest you more. That is fine, fair enough, you know. But you doing that kind of a film will bring in a tremendous difference to that genre, is what I feel. And there is Salahi over here, I'm just observing a point. And in terms of I always wonder whether if Arjun Reddy and Shiva come on the same day, what do you think will happen? No, if Shiva and Arjun Reddy release on the same day, what do you think will work better?
Shiva?
Yeah, no. Yeah. See, whether he wants to be diplomatic or trying to be...
no, sir. Till date, I'm a fan of Shiva. When people say that, Shiva taraf ide film ante nenu kuda anukunta anta ledu ani anukunta genuinely. So Shiva and Arjun rendu okara vaste I feel Shiva will work.
Shiva butterfly.
I don't believe that. My opinion, see, Shiva was a very topical film in terms of the college violence and at that time the campus politics and all that. But Arjun Reddy, I think the character is more believable. Maybe it doesn't have the same heroism of Shiva, but I think the relatability of Arjun Reddy's character, I think, is far superior. And I didn't see anything cinematic in Arjun Reddy, which Shiva is full of cinematic treatment, I think. Yeah. So, for example, the whole build-ups of the chain breaking and all that, I find it like if you look back on it today, I feel it's very silly, you know. But I didn't feel that at all in Arjun Reddy. Yeah. Because you created a character and the whole film was going around that in terms of its treatment. So he fascinates me, the character. I'm not sure that there is some emotion when you look at Shiva.
Sir, I might not explain the way you are explaining, but I still feel chain snatching is the best commercial entry for a fight. Yeah.
Maybe because I find that silly. Maybe that is one reason why I'm not able to make a good film now. Because I also forgot what the chain is.
That is 30 years back, sir. 30 years, sir. Shiva is 30 years back, right?
So now, so you have to ask me some question about something. What? You have to ask me some question.
Sir, question is generally this proud కోసం నా కోసం అడుగుతున్నా సార్. No, not consent. Sir, Rangila Tarwata, genuinely, like what was your mindset to write and make something? Because big stars approaching
what I felt, Sandeep, in fact, the background of Bombay, because I shot Rangila in Bombay, I used to be fascinated watching the locations, the Dharavi slums and things like that. And there was a huge underworld activity at that time. So I used to be reading in the papers and seeing pictures and probably meeting some people who were related to the gang world. So that kind of started growing at the time of Rangila. When I was shooting Rangila, the first seed of Satya came at that time. So I was eager to make that film because it reminded me of my understanding of Godfather. It reminded me of my very early days, Shiva and all that. So I never thought of it as I should make a bigger film than Rangila. No, like let me make a film with bigger stars and all that. Like eventually, like you very well know, director is at heart a storyteller. You know, so when you did Arjun Reddy, you believed his performance as a character. You know, so Vijay Devkonda became whatever he is post that film. You know, so for me the very idea of underworld was a start. Just to make a realistic film on the underworld, for me I thought of it as a start. So I never thought about whether it's a big film or I'm making it how much budget and all that. It never entered my head. I was just excited to make the film. Yeah.
In comparison with what Rangila made in terms of box office, you never worried about how the box office numbers would be and how you would be judged as a filmmaker in a new city again in Bombay. That was never your thought. You never...
No. In fact, I didn't even know whether it will work. I never thought of the commercial prospect. I was very, very excited to put it on screen. I mean, in the making of Satya, a lot of people told me people won't see such sweaty looking faces and there is no glamour and X and Y. That was what everybody was talking, but I was very captivated by the idea of the subject matter, the way I understood that at that time when I was making Rangila and with the meeting people, like I said, you know. So I remember by the time I made Rangila, already I was in the industry for the last 10 years nearly. I had this one line which I wrote in the end of the film. My tears for Satya as much as for those who he killed. So that is something I very strongly felt in my life. So it was almost like me trying to tell this to somebody, in this case which happens to be the audience by using the medium of cinema. So my desire to tell what I felt about it was the most overwhelming emotion in me. I never ever thought about it as commercial aspect. Yeah.
I think that's why you could come out with always new genres. I think nobody has tried the way you tried, I think. You tried almost all genres, I think. Yes, sir. Yeah. And sir, coming back to films like Satya and company, there are multiple star cast. So I just want to be curious, when you are making company, you gave a combined narration to everybody in a room, or like you individually you told them this is what it will be, and you excited everybody and got them out of the board, or you generally called everybody and narrated story?
No. I never did that. I never did any film. You know?
Just
I think
the
it's in person. Like company, for example, obviously because Satya was such a big hit, and coming to the same genre, people were not even interested in knowing what I want to make. They just want to do it. Satya, many times I mentioned, but even till today nobody believes it. See, Satya, we never had a script. I just went by gut instinct, but I had clarity about the characters. I knew every character beforehand. So I thought we'll go, and the story happens because of a decision made by a character. So as long as I have a grip on the character, whatever I felt at any given point of time, I did it and it made itself, the film.
Pretty much you applied that for company also. For company also you applied that, I think, right? The decision made by every character is progressing the story.
Yeah.
I think that applies to company also.
Yes. Yeah. The difference is between Satya and company, I would say, is the difference between Godfather and Goodfellas. Satya being Goodfellas. Because I have least craft I used in Satya, because I just let the actors do the job, and they kept the camera at eye level most of the time. The company is very strong compositions, and that style is different, which probably I use more of that in Sarkar. Yeah.
So one more thing I always wanted to ask you, but suddenly గుర్తొచ్చింది మీతో మాట్లాడుతుంటే, ఇప్పుడు when you write horror films, how do you narrate the horror film? Because most of it is with the effects and the movement. For example, Ratri, the first shot, what we see, that's how you narrate, or like?
See, I wanted to start my career with a horror film. Actually, I was very keen about Ratri. Now, Rat film, I actually used to narrate the opening scene. Every time I used to say the camera slowly, bus comes and stops, and she gets down. The whole thing was narrated through camera movements. That is what I always do. In fact, even now, you know. So I think with the expression I have in the way I'm able to almost make the other person see the way it's happened.
So hardly there is anything on the paper for Ratri.
No, nothing. So when someone told me, when I said that Rat is one of my best films, directorially speaking, and someone told me that you forgot the story in the point of the camera, I said, on the other hand, with that much of story, to make it like that is a much bigger achievement for me. And definitely I love making horror films because I love to scare people. So that is my primary. I love to scare people. Yeah. When will you make a horror film?
Sir, I never thought about it, sir, but I want to. Not challenge actually, but I never thought about it. So,
I think we'll make a fantastic horror film because it is just a shift from violence to horror is very, very thin. And I think Animal also has horror. Especially for Rajiv Masal. Yeah. And so what are the other genres you would like to dwell into at some time?
I definitely want to do horror, sir. I don't know whether I'll do comedy, but horror too, I want to do it. And I never attempted one scene also.
Yeah.
I'll try, sir.
Yeah. And I observed something in your films. You were, probably even I have that to an extent. You don't like to have big crowd scenes and too many junior artists of the whole thing. I find you a little uncomfortable in that. Like, even if I look at the Anil Kapoor's attack scene in the bridge, it's like you want to get it over with. Because this has to be there right away. I can see impatience.
100%. What is it?
It is never elaborate. It is not in detail. Yeah.
Majorly, I don't see a reason. If it is there also, it's very tough to control the junior crowds. Actually.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
also
very
because you're
tedious
so precise about the expressions, a junior artist will never give the expression in his body language and all that. He can screw up the entire film.
It is very, even the classroom crowd, నేను ఫోటోలు చూసి ఆడిషన్ చేశాను సార్ బికాజ్ రెగ్యులర్ క్రౌడ్ విల్ నాట్ లుక్ లైక్ క్లాస్ రూమ్ క్రౌడ్ జనరల్ పబ్లిక్ని పెట్టినప్పుడు బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్లో దట్స్ రియల్ టఫ్ టాస్క్ సార్ యాక్చువల్లీ I can't get away every time, but when it's necessary, I have to take it and do it.
How much importance do you think a story has in a film?
Sir, I feel I don't think so anybody would come to theatre to watch a story. I mean, I think it's majorly drama and emotion. Story will be there. I mean, అంటే ఇందులో కథ లేదు మన వాళ్ళకి ఏం చెప్పలేదు కానీ మామూలు కాదు. See, this is a story of we both meeting and sitting here and talking also is a story. So if
see what I mean by that is I feel a film is like a person. When you meet a person, for some reason you take a liking. Maybe it might take a few minutes or a few hours or a few meetings, and you form an impression. So for me, in Animal, the moment this guy comes back with the machine gun, AK-47, I decided to love the film. After that, I didn't care whatever happens in the rest of the film. So that was my moment of liking the person.
okay.
Similarly, I never connected to the story of Vanga. For example, his love for his father is the last thing which affected me. I was constantly looking for the highs, and I believe that is which works in cinema. Story, different people will have different takes on it, directly going by their sensibility and their experiences in life. Like a person, you might be liked by someone, maybe not by someone. How many different people, depending on your relationship, they all have different views of you, and a film exactly happens that way.
So very rightly put, sir. Actually, what is it is so true.
Yeah.
Nobody could put it into words, as you said. Stories are like people, Like the person, that's the story. So true.
Yeah. Like in Shiva, the first opening sequence, when these guys come in a car and this and that happening, and then a cut to the Stepney's moment of it, with the music. I think the way the people reacted to just the end of the scene in the theatre, I believe that they decided to like the film from that shot. After that, it is okay. Some scenes okay, some scenes good, some scenes better. But they made a fundamental impression on the film. So I believe story doesn't have any importance for the reason when we see a film, we don't really wait for the film to over to make a judgment of it. We make judgment as the film is progressing, and we might lose interest in it before the story is told to us, the full story is told to us. Which is the reason I think the stories of least value. And this overemphasis the William Finch in the Electro Philosophies and Finch connection. He said majority of the films fail because of the emphasis on the story. If you're creating heights constantly, it can provoke you, it can make you laugh, it can make you cry, it can make you feel some kind of adrenaline rush. So the number of times an audience will feel that emotion will be in direct proportion to the success. Emphasis on the story will do the exact reverse of it. He said that I believe that. Yeah. So like I said, the only time I remember in the last 20 years or so, at least if not more, I got up and clapped in the theatre when they got the gun. I felt almost like a mass audience, sitting in the front. It is an idea. It is just a thought. It is, if it was a rifle, it would have worked. If it was a hockey stick, it wouldn't have worked. Only a machine gun. And I would have never taken a decision like that if it was in a sequence. So you don't know whether to laugh. Everybody laughed. But that is not because of the humor. The excitement of that particular thing, of just the way it entered, even if the scene started with a full figure of him carrying the gun, also wouldn't have worked. Now the content will remain the same. That is what I'm saying.
See, that shot, that particular shot of walking, with the rifle moving to the face of the audience and going back, the 300 minute. ideally worked than a solo person walking in a corridor.
Yeah, correct. That's what I'm saying.
The impact would have been gone. That cut to that shot will actually work.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't know if you'll take this as a compliment or whatever. On the repeated use of animal, all the times I fast forwarded the father's scenes. So I don't know what to make of that, you know? Because like I said, we pick our favorite things at the end of the day. And you might have done it for the emotion of the father and son story. I do not believe it worked because of that. At least for me. I can't speak for everyone. No. You might have done it for the father-son emotion, but I don't believe that is the reason it worked. At least not for me. Because I can't take everyone in general.
I think it worked for the machismo of the time. It worked for the kind of character he is, more than the father now, as you said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that could be just a kind of which created that heist. The story is like a device to create heist, but not by itself. Yeah. So on that note, should we? Yeah. And but I just have one request to Sandeep. Like he said, I should make. Yeah.
Yes. All right, now.
I just have one request to Sandeep. Like he said, I should make a film again, which is of whatever supposed to be my another good film or whatever. He said, I want him to make two things. One, a kind of a period drama in his style, which I think is going to be something else. And second, definitely a horror film.
How unique and how different each one of the film that you have chosen. How can you be? I mean, how do I address this? How you put these movies and all that?
I'm surprised you don't have so many names.
Malli teeste.
You see the Malli these goes.
My God, I'm speechless and emotional. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and make some noise for RGV, sir. Jewel of Indian cinema, pride of Kasari Chapatto.